Welcome back, everyone, to Senior Care Insights. You know, it's where your go-to channel for everything you need to know about health and well-being in those, well, golden years. And today, we've got a fascinating deep dive lined up for you all. We're going to be looking at the life of this absolutely incredible guy, Dr. Ellsworth Wham.
This guy was something else.
Seriously. So he was a cardiothoracic surgeon, right? But get this, he actually practiced until he was 95 years old. And then on top of that, lived to be 104. Talk about a long and fulfilling life, huh?
Absolutely.
So we want to kind of unpack what made that possible. What were the secrets? Or maybe not even secrets, but just the key ingredients to his longevity.
Yeah, a lot of times when you see these cases of exceptional longevity, you might think, oh, it's just good genes, or they must have won the life lottery. But as we dig deeper into Dr. Wham's story, it becomes pretty clear that there were some pretty specific and actually replicable things that contributed to his long and healthy life.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not just chance. It seems like he really made choices that supported his well-being, like in a huge way. And one of the things that really jumps out is his passion for medicine. This wasn't just a job for him. It was like a true calling, right?
Totally. The guy was dedicated. I mean, performing open heart surgery until age 74, that's incredible in itself. But then, he didn't just stop there. He kept going, mentoring other surgeons until he hit 95.
95.
Yeah.
I can barely imagine working that long, let alone doing something as demanding as surgery and then mentoring.
Right. And it really speaks to how much he loved what he did. It wasn't about having to work. It was about wanting to.
Exactly. And it's not like he was forced to retire at that point either.
Yeah.
He actually chose to step back so he could spend more time with his family. I mean, that's a pretty powerful message in itself, wouldn't you say? Like, even with this incredible career, family was still a top priority.
Oh, absolutely. It really shows where his values lay.
Yeah. And speaking of powerful moments, his journey into medicine, it was actually shaped by something pretty profound, wasn't it?
You're talking about the loss of his captain in World War II.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. That had a huge impact on him.
It seems like the experience of losing his captain because of delays and getting him the surgical help he needed, that really fueled his determination to become like this amazing surgeon.
Yeah, he basically dedicated himself to making sure that kind of tragedy wouldn't happen again if he could help it.
Right. Like this kind of purpose that was born out of a really difficult experience.
Absolutely. And what's even more inspiring is that his commitment to medicine, it wasn't limited to just his own practice. He actually traveled internationally to train other surgeons, sharing his expertise and passion with the world.
That's right. It's like on a global scale, trying to make a difference.
Exactly. This really highlights something important for all of us. It's about finding something you're passionate about, something that gives you a sense of purpose. Because when you have that, well, it can really fuel you, keep you going, keep you engaged and vital even as you age. Think about it. What activities truly energize you? What makes you feel like you're making a difference? Those are the things that can really contribute to a long and happy life.
I love that. It's not just about living longer. It's about living better. And, another really striking thing about Dr. Wham's life was the importance he placed on his relationships, his social connections.
Oh, absolutely. His marriage to Barbara, that was a cornerstone of his life. They were married for a long time, raised 5 children together on an apple orchard. Just paints this picture of a really tight-knit family, a sense of belonging and support.
It sounds idyllic, really, like a real sense of community right there within the family. And, like we were talking about earlier, even with his incredibly busy career, he chose to retire so he could dedicate more time to them. It's like he knew how important those connections were.
And he backed it up with action. And you know what? Science actually supports this whole idea. There's a ton of research out there that shows a clear link between having strong social connections, whether it's with family, friends, or even just being part of a community, and a reduced risk of dying earlier. I mean, that's pretty significant.
It really is. So it's not just about feeling good. It's about actual, tangible health benefits.
Right. Those connections, they give us emotional support. They help us deal with stress. They contribute to our mental well-being. It's like having this built-in support system that helps you navigate the ups and downs of life. And when you think about it, the people who bring you joy, who support you, nurturing those relationships, it's not just about being a good friend or family member. It's an investment in your own health.
I never thought about it that way, but it's so true. Investing in relationships is investing in your health. And on the flip side, we've all heard about how bad isolation can be for you, right?
Oh, definitely. It's a big deal. Studies have shown that social isolation is linked to a whole bunch of health problems, like heart disease, stroke, anxiety, depression, even cognitive decline. Loneliness, it can take a serious toll on both your mental and physical health.
It's like the opposite of that support system we were talking about. Instead of lifting you up, it drags you down.
Exactly. And it's something we need to be really mindful of, especially as we get older.
So we've got passion, purpose, strong connections, all super important. But what about the more basic things, like sleep, for example? How did Dr. Wim approach that aspect of his health?
Well, he was a big believer in getting enough rest. Like, he made it a priority. He consistently got 8 to 9 hours of sleep every night. And he had this really set morning routine, waking up around 5 a.m. and drinking 3 glasses of water right away.
Wow, that's dedication. So not just enough sleep, but also being consistent about it. We hear a lot about the importance of sleep, but is there something specific about that regularity, that consistent sleep schedule, or even about waking up early that could actually contribute to a longer life?
It's interesting. Research does seem to suggest that having a consistent sleep-wake cycle, like going to bed and waking up around the same time each day, it really is good for your overall health. There are some studies that link that kind of regular sleep, in that 7 to 9 hour range with a lower risk of heart problems and even a lower risk of dying earlier. And it
Yeah.
makes sense, right? When your sleep is consistent, your body's natural rhythms are more stable.
Yeah, it's like you're setting your internal clock. So consistency is key. But what about the early rising part? Is there actually something to that, or is it just a personal preference?
It's a good question. There is some research suggesting that people who naturally wake up earlier might have better mental well-being and a lower risk of some diseases. But it's important to remember that everyone's different. We all have our own natural sleep patterns. But the key takeaway, I think, from Dr. Wam's example is that consistency, getting sufficient rest, and making sleep a priority, those are the things that likely played a big role in his overall health and energy levels.
And that makes sense. He was a surgeon after all. He had to be on top of his game. So how about physical activity? Was he hitting the gym every day, or did he have a different approach?
He actually wasn't a big gym guy. His approach was more about integrating movement into his everyday life. Like, he loved gardening and working in his yard. And he wasn't just messing around either. He would spend up to 10 hours a week doing those kinds of
Wait,
activities.
10 hours of gardening. That's like a serious workout.
Exactly. It's all about finding ways to move your body regularly without necessarily having to go to the gym or follow a strict workout routine. And you know what? He even mentioned the Stanford study that found a link between climbing stairs regularly and a lower risk of dying from heart disease. So, his lifestyle really emphasized natural movement, working those muscles without even thinking about it as exercise.
I love that. It's like sneaking in a workout without even realizing it.
Yeah.
So we're talking gardening, yard work, taking the stairs. It all adds up.
It really does. Think about your own day. Where are there opportunities to incorporate more movement, even in small ways?
Yeah, great point. Now, before we move on, I want to touch on something else that might have played a role in Dr. Wham's longevity, his location. He lived in Loma Linda, California, right?
He did.
And I believe that's one of those places known as a blue zone. Does that ring a bell?
It does. It's one of those areas around the world where people tend to live much longer and healthier lives than average. And you're right, Loma Linda is definitely one of them.
So what makes these blue zones so special? What do they have in common that seems to contribute to such long lifespans?
Well, there are a few key characteristics that you tend to see popping up in all the blue zones. First of all, they often have diets that are mostly plant-based, with lots of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and legumes. They also emphasize regular physical activity, but it's usually woven into their daily lives, like we were just talking about with Dr. Horm, rather than being structured exercise. They have strong social and family networks, a real sense of community and belonging, and they seem to have a knack for managing stress. It's like they've figured out the recipe for a long and healthy life.
It's like a whole lifestyle approach, isn't it? It's not just about one thing. It's about creating this environment that supports well-being. And Dr. Herm lived right in the heart of one of these places. So did his lifestyle actually reflect those blue zone principles?
Absolutely. And it's worth noting that Loma Linda has a large population of Seventh-day Adventists, and their faith often encourages a lot of these same things: a plant-based diet, regular activity, strong community ties, and a focus on spiritual well-being.
So it sounds like there's a real connection between those blue zone principles and the lifestyle that's often practiced by Seventh-day Adventists.
Definitely. And studies have shown that the longer life expectancy in Loma Linda is strongly tied to these lifestyle habits. It suggests that where you live, the community you're part of, can actually have a real impact on how long and how well you live.
That's fascinating. It is like your environment is working with you, not against you. And it goes beyond individual choices, right? It's about being part of a community that supports those healthy habits.
Exactly. And in Loma Linda, for many people, health is actually seen as a part of their spiritual life, which influences their choices about food, how active they are, their social connections. It's like a shared sense of purpose around well-being.
So it's not just about living longer, it's about living well, and it's a community effort. Now, speaking of choices, Dr. Wan was pretty intentional about his diet, wasn't he?
Oh, yeah, he was very specific about what he ate. For about half of his life, he followed a vegan diet. And not only that, he usually ate just 2 meals a day.
2 meals a day. Wow, that's pretty interesting. So what did those meals typically consist of?
For breakfast, he'd usually have whole wheat cereal with almond milk, some fruit, or some nuts. And then for dinner, he'd have a plant-based meal with lots of vegetables, grains, and nuts. He completely avoided any animal products.
So a very plant-focused approach. What was his reasoning behind choosing a vegan diet?
Well, he was very knowledgeable about nutrition and the impact of diet on health. He often cited research, particularly the work being done at the Cleveland Clinic, that showed a link between a low-fat vegan diet and both preventing and even reversing heart disease. He was very aware of the potential benefits for his cardiovascular health.
So it was a conscious choice to support his heart health. And speaking of heart health, his cholesterol levels were pretty impressive, right?
They were. He said his cholesterol was around 117, which is excellent, especially for someone his age.
That's amazing. So the plant-based diet seemed to be working for him.
It definitely seems that way. And it really highlights the importance of being mindful of what we eat, especially when it comes to things like saturated fat, which is often found in animal products.
So cutting back on those saturated fats and focusing on plant-based foods can make a big difference.
Absolutely. But even with a healthy diet, it's important to make sure you're getting all the nutrients you need. And that brings us to another interesting aspect of Dr. Wham's approach to nutrition, his emphasis on supplementation, particularly with vitamin B12.
Right. Vitamin B12, that's essential for a lot of bodily functions, isn't it?
It is. It plays a crucial role in cell growth and development, nerve function, and the formation of red blood cells. And because it's primarily found in animal products, people who follow a vegan diet often need to supplement to make sure they're getting enough.
And Dr. Wham was very aware of that, wasn't he?
He was. He specifically talked about supplementing with B12, understanding that it was essential for him to maintain a completely vegan diet without risking a deficiency.
That's a good reminder for all of us, really. Even with a healthy diet, it's important to be aware of potential gaps and address them proactively.
Absolutely. And it really highlights a smart and balanced approach to diet, embracing the benefits of a plant-based lifestyle while also being knowledgeable about potential deficiencies and taking steps to prevent them.
So as we reflect on Dr. Wham's truly remarkable life, it's clear that there wasn't just one magic bullet, right? It was this really intricate combination of factors that contributed to his longevity and well-being.
You got it. It was this amazing synergy of things like having a lifelong passion, maintaining strong social connections, prioritizing sleep, incorporating regular movement into his life, living in a supportive community that promoted healthy habits, and following a predominantly plant-based diet while being mindful of his nutritional needs. All of these things work together to create this incredible tapestry of a long and fulfilling life.
It's like a recipe, but instead of just ingredients, it's these different aspects of life that, when combined in the right way, create something truly extraordinary. And it wasn't just theory for Dr. Wham. He actually lived these principles every day.
And his life is a testament to the power of those choices. It's a real-world example that we can all learn from.
Absolutely. So we hope this deep dive into Dr. Wham's life has given you some food for thought, maybe even some inspiration to consider these things in your own journey toward health and well-being in your later years.
You know, by understanding the choices that Dr. Wham made, you can start to identify those practical steps that you can take to support your own health and vitality as you age. It's never too late to make positive changes.
So true. Now, before we wrap up, if you found this discussion helpful, please do us a favor and give this video a thumbs up. And if you think others might benefit from it, share it with them. We'd also love to hear your thoughts, your questions, your own experiences in the comments below.
Absolutely. Let's keep the conversation going.
And most importantly, don't forget to subscribe to Senior Care Insights and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our future deep dives into the fascinating world of health, psychology, and well-being for older adults.
We'll be back with more insightful discussions soon.
Until then, take care of yourselves and keep those connections strong.
We'll see you next time.